Well,
welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football RPG. I am your co-host, Mike Cash. You can find me on Twitter at FFMikeCash. You can find written content over at Last Word on Sports or Football Guys. You can also find Evan's beautiful face on Twitter at FFRPGPod. He's dropping some NCAA breakdowns for you college fantasy football folks or for you Devy addicts like the rest of us. Evan, we're talking about the top 5 running backs in 2025 NFL draft today. Dude, I'm fired up.
it's a beautiful day, baby. It's a beautiful day. We are finally here. The class to bring all classes together, Mike. The running back crew just sent down as angels from above for us.
I don't think I'm being hyperbolic. This is the best running back class since 2017, and I think it gives it a run for their money. When we talk about 2017, you had Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, James Conner. Like, you're talking about all these guys who have been studs for so long.
Leonard Fournette,
Christian McCaffrey, never heard of them. But now we're going to get some fresh blood to replace the aging vets. Real quick, I said this at the beginning, the 6 through 10. I just want to put it out there now. Your dynasty drafts. You're going to be like, who do I pick here? Pick the running back. If you're in between a quarterback and a running back, pick the running back. If you're in between a wide receiver, pick the running back. If you're in between a tight end and a running back,
think about it.
Talk to me. But probably pick the running back. Let's start it off strong. Kaleb Johnson out of Iowa, 6 foot, 225. We talked a little bit about this with Nick Singleton. He's listed at 226. Fat chance Nick Singleton's 226. Kaleb Johnson might be 225.
He could. I mean, Iowa, we got some corn-fed Midwesterners over here. Like, they are doing everything they can to beef up their running backs to be workhorse backs at the next level, at the college level. They're doing everything they can. Kirk Ferentz over there just handed him an absolute meal to be able to just go out there, run the ball. Oh, look, there's 9 in the box. Run the ball.
And this isn't the Iowa that we've seen in years past. Like, they did try to pass the ball a little bit. They stopped actively betting on their own unders. But we didn't do this for 6 through 10. We're doing this for 1 through 5. We pulled the missed tackles forced, yards after contact, and their missed tackles forced per touch, because I think that is a very sticky stat. We talk about, carries aren't always that sticky. Like, they kind of help a little bit. We talk about catches. They're pretty helpful. Missed tackles forced per touch. Very sticky stat, very helpful. Once you adjust it for level of competition, we don't have to adjust it for any of these guys other than maybe Ashton Jeanty. But Kaleb Johnson, 66 missed tackles forced, 1,060 yards after contact. That is bonkers. That shouldn't be real life, and we have him at RB5. We are talking about 0.25 missed tackles forced per touch. To put that in perspective, because I'm just saying numbers right now, and I know that doesn't help very much. Jahmyr Gibbs, top 15 pick. Very good running back in the NFL. 0.19 missed tackles forced per touch. Saquon Barkley, before he came out, 0.14 missed tackles forced per touch. In his best college season, 0.23. So we're looking at Kaleb Johnson, RB5, with 0.25. These are elite numbers. Evan, I think people understand. He's a load. He's hard to bring down. Why is he at RB5, and why are we not talking about him like Saquon?
He's at RB5 because this class is absolutely epic, Mike. We're talking about some guys that are absolute athletes, guys that when you think about the running back position, you say they get beat up. They just wear down. You're not going to have the athletes end up staying at running back. Well, these are some athletes that decided to stay at running back. And talking about Johnson here, he's probably the slowest one on this list.
But that's the thing. He's still not slow. Like, he got caught from behind a little bit, but it's fine because he was spotting 30 pounds dude and he stiff armed the safety after they caught up to him. Like, we're thinking somewhere in the 4.5 range, high 4.5s at worst. If he runs a 4.6, I'm going to be a little sad. And then one question about Johnson before we move on. Let's put him in the 2024 class. RB1.
Look, revisionist history here. All right.
Let's say Jonathan Brooks was healthy the whole time. Everything went great.
Jonathan Brooks is healthy the entire time. The allure of a Texas running back will cloud the judgment. Actual dynamic talent-wise, Johnson is probably better than Brooks. Yeah. I think a lot of people were saying that. A lot of analysts were saying this is a weak running back class. If you're going to do this, go punt, go find some old crusty running back like a Chuba Hubbard. Oh, look at that. Potential league winner. Wow. Okay. To be able to just get you through. Oh, look at James Conner over here. They drafted back. You can get him so cheap. Yeah. So those worked out great.
Yep.
So they said just make it through the 24 season. 25 is coming. It is right around the corner, and it is here, baby. We are in back season. We are in draft season. Let's start talking about it.
I'm going to have so many rookie running backs on my redraft teams. People are going to think that I have Dynasty brand. I'll be like, no, they're this good. Like, I love all of them. They're all my children. Let's talk about, so I think I was actually the highest on this fella. I have him, I'm the only one that has him above his backfield mate. TreVeyon Henderson out of Ohio State, 5'10", 208, talking about 32 missed tackles forced, 575 yards after contact, and 0.2 missed tackles forced per touch. Again, Gibbs line, 0.19, Saquon line, 0.14 for a bad season, 0.23 for a good season. I think from a fantasy perspective, Henderson gives you more of what you want to look for. I know last time I let you talk about the negative or positives, and then I talked about the negatives. We're gonna flip it for him because I like him a little bit more than you. I think the burst is there. I think the vision in the open field is there. I think the hands are better than Judkins by a lot. I think you can do more with him as a receiver out of the backfield. And if we're talking about Henderson in a 50-50 split or a 60-40 split, he's going to get those high-value touches in receiving work. And he, still fine at the goal line, didn't get used a lot that way because they had Judkins there. But when we're talking about him in a backfield that maybe has nobody else there, maybe he goes to Minnesota with a 90-year-old Aaron Jones. I think there's a path for Henderson to be a top 15 option as a rookie because of the PPR upside. Why am I too high on Henderson?
Injuries, workload management, the fact that he played at Ohio State with one of the most dominant offensive lines before this season. This season, obviously, the offensive line of Ohio State was very dinged up. The entire offensive line, starting from the offseason, was dinged up. So there is that to be able to remember, which all the better to have two dynamic running backs in your backfield to be able to make people miss when your offensive lineman just so happens to whiff because, he should be a third stringer on your team, but first two guys go down. I mean, that is the biggest knock on Henderson. Can he handle an NFL full-time workload?
Yep.
I have an answer of no, which is what puts him where he is, which is number 5 in my rankings here. So,
but you still like him a lot.
I like him a lot. Yeah.
You think that he's good. Let's wave a magic wand. We say TreVeyon Henderson is healthy all of the time. How excited would you be about him, and how early do you think he could go in the draft?
How excited were you about J.K. Dobbins coming out of Ohio State?
Oh, you dirty dog. I was so hot and bothered for J.K. Dobbins.
Okay.
I thought he should have been a first-round pick in the NFL draft. I think, did he end up going in the second round? It's been 8 years. We're old.
Have to check back on that one.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter because everybody loved JK coming out. They loved the profile. They realized what could be. And that's what we're seeing here in Henderson. We're seeing what could be. And once again, there are plenty of teams that now run 2-back systems. How many NFL teams can you name, Mike, where the RB1 on that team gets over 65% of the carries?
Baltimore, Carolina, Cleveland, Philly.
If you're not counting their quarterback.
I think it's still Philly.
Yeah.
Dallas, since they decided Zeke sucks. San Francisco and McCaffrey's alive. and I think I'm running out.
All right. So lo and behold, what a shocker. It's less than half the league, which tells you that more than half the league utilizes multiple backs in their backfield. They keep guys fresh. They try and keep them healthy throughout the year because the NFL is a game of attrition. It is a physical, it is a brutal, punishing game. And you want to be able to keep your star players healthy.
Yes. And I think that's what he brings is when he is playing, when he is involved in the offense, he is just a guy that they like to get involved in the pass game. Very explosive. We're talking about over 7 yards per carry. We're talking about over 10 yards per touch. A lot of that has to do with being in the Ohio State offense, but a lot of that has to do with just how talented he is individually. If he declared last year, we talked about it a little bit with Johnson, I think Henderson is the RB1 last year. It's a shame he went back to school, and now he's like the RB4 maybe.
All right, fully healthy. Is he a sub 4.4 back?
Oh, fully healthy? That's a very good line. I think he runs a 4.42.
Yep.
But I think the 3-cone drill would be very good to him, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I think that lateral agility, that quickness, the change of direction, the quick twitch, all of those things, very good to him. I think the straight line speed, I don't think he has that 6th gear. He can get up from 1 to 5, but shift into 6, like he just doesn't have, like can't open the gate far enough. He doesn't have long enough legs. I don't know what it is. He's not running away from NFL defenders, but he's running away from defensive linemen and linebackers, and he's going to get caught by a corner 60 yards down the field, who he might break the tackle anyway. Let's talk about Judkins, because I think this is going to be a contentious point for a lot of people. Quinshon Judkins by way of Ole Miss, 6 foot, 219, talking about almost identical yards after contact, 526, 37 missed tackles force, 0.19 force per touch. Again, these are very good numbers. Is Judkins good at catching the ball?
Oh, Mike. Judkins has hands, and
they are attached to his body.
They can touch a football.
That they can.
But he is not a weapon in the passing game. He is a running back. Okay. Do not take this as the comp because nowhere close. But coming out of Georgia, Nick Chubb was a running back that was a running back.
I'm going to just completely derail you. Judkins is somewhere on the Brian Robinson, Nick Chubb spectrum.
Yep.
And I think that he's closer to Nick Chubb than he is to Brian Robinson, which makes him a very good back. And he can catch dump offs. He can catch screen passes. But it's almost like he's thinking the whole time the ball's there. He's like, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it, don't drop it. Just catch the ball, be the fluid athlete you are.
He doesn't look fluid when he's running routes. He doesn't look fluid when he's even running screens.
But when they hand him the ball, he looks like a savant.
Pure runner of the football. And Eric and I have had this conversation many of times. Pure runner of the football. He is one of the best in this class.
Unfortunately, I think the pass catching is going to limit his upside for fantasy. And I don't know if you know, this is the Fantasy Football RPG podcast. We care about fantasy. We care about Dynasty. So I'm a little worried about Judkins from that standpoint. I think he's one of those guys, did a film study on him. He's a can't-miss prospect from an NFL evaluation standpoint. If you get him into your offense, you're using him as your first and second down back. You have him out there on third downs when you need to. He can do a lot of the things you need on third down. But he is electric on first and second down. And that's why he can't miss, and that's why I'm excited about him at the next level.
Yeah.
Top 50? Top 50?
See, that's hard because I have him listed as a mid to late second. So that's like right on the cusp. I do not think that he is a first round pick in the NFL draft.
I don't either. Second round. Let me give you some names. Cleveland at 35.
No.
New York at 36.
could, but there's so many needs there.
Vegas at 40.
They already have enough. They already have enough pure runners.
New Orleans, 42. That's exciting, actually.
So New Orleans could be a lot
That'd
of
be
fun.
a very good bang backfield. It would suck for fantasy. We would be so mad.
Oh, I mean, reminiscent of Jamal Williams when he was there.
Yeah, on an offense that doesn't score.
Sure.
Dallas, 45.
Huh.
That's gonna be everybody's option. They're
Yeah,
gonna circle
don't
every
get me
running back
started
they like.
there. No,
no.
The pie in the sky destination is the Chargers.
I have one more.
The pie in the sky is the Chargers.
I have
you know,
one more.
Harbaugh would run the crap out of him.
I have one more.
Okay.
Cincinnati Bengals, 48. Dude, he eats Chase Brown's lunch every single day.
He does. Don't get me wrong. Chase Brown had a fantastic finish to the season. He will be overdrafted in startups all off season.
Yes.
100% with you on that, Mike. No. If they're drafting a running back, Cincinnati is going to be looking day 3 for a running back to be able to complement, to be able to run a two-headed backfield. That's what they wanted with Zach Moss, and then Zach Moss, he's Zach Moss.
Yeah. I do like the Chargers call out. Judkins it's like him and J.K. Dobbins' role would be wild. Just absolutely bonkers. But there's a lot of guys on day 2.
Yeah.
Excited.
So going back to your top 50, I'm going to say outside top 50.
Calling it now. And if it happens, it happens. Denver trades up from exactly 50 to like 47, 46. They take him and they have him and Audric Estime just run the like big brother, little brother, ugliest offense. Let's talk about our RB2 in the class, who I'm over the moon about. You're over the moon about. David's not here, so we'll make fun of him later. Omarion Hampton, 6'1", 220, out of UNC. And he said, screw it, I'm out of here. 67 missed tackles forced, 1,222 yards after contact. These numbers don't sound real. 0.21 missed tackles forced per touch, which again, over Gibbs, over Barkley. Not flirting with Bijan because Bijan wasn't real. But what I love about Hampton, fluid pass catcher, very solid rusher, 6'1", 220. He is every bit of 6'1", 220, and he runs like it. I don't know what's not to love about Hampton. Give me more exciting things about him.
He lost Drake May and somehow got better.
It's not real.
He put this North Carolina team that was, don't get me wrong, atrocious this season. The offensive line was atrocious. The passing game was atrocious. Omarion Hampton or bust for this North Carolina team this season, and that is exactly what it was. And he said, all right, sounds good. Bet. Let's go. 5.9 yards per attempt, 15 touchdowns, 38 receptions. Like, what do we love out of a big back other than being fluid, catching the ball, and just absolutely just barreling down linebackers, saying, hey, by the way, you thought that you were going to be able to tackle me? Joke's on you. I broke your ankle, and I took your face and put it in the ground. Because Omarion Hampton is country strong. All right. He has got that Midwestern white boy energy, but that's not his complexity.
Not even kind of.
Not even close, baby.
A lot of people are going to be grumpy because he played in the ACC, and they say the ACC is not that good. Georgia Tech took Georgia to overtime. They absolutely had him on the ropes. It went to 4 or 5 times overtime. Omarion Hampton in
7,
a loss,
if I remember correctly.
In a loss, 18 for 137, 4 catches, 7.6 yards per carry. Certified good at football.
Yeah. Who is a more violent runner of the football? Judkins, or Hampton?
Violent, Hampton.
Yep.
Fluid, Judkins.
Okay.
But with the ball in the air, Hampton is the same player that he always is. Like, he can catch the ball very effectively. He knows how to use his hands. He knows how to tuck it and run. Ball in the air, Judkins looks like me out there. Like, homeboy is just doing his best. And I love him for that.
Let's also talk, did we say over 1,200 yards after contact? This offensive line was getting penetration in the backfield. And we're talking 2, maybe 3 steps for Hampton. And he's already at a good enough burst off of those first 2-3 steps to be able to make a defender miss, to be able to run through the arm tackle in the backfield, to have just enough wiggle as he's getting the handoff to be able to take 1 step. And then that guy's already just trying to get an arm tackle. Who, good luck trying to tackle 220 running downhill with an arm tackle.
Yep. 1,222 yards. So that puts him 40 yards behind Devin Neal's full season total. That's Devin Neal's all yards, not just after contact.
So he was second in all of college in yards after contact, which is even crazier when we get to the next player and how many yards after contact they had.
That's ahead of all of Phil Moffa's yards from Clemson. That's ahead of all of Bashal Tutin's yards from Virginia Tech. That's ahead of all of Kaytron Allen, LaQuint Allen. Ahead of Nick Singleton by like 200 yards just after contact. Man, that Nick Singleton guy stinks. But anyway, Omarion Hampton, very good. We're very excited about him. Top 50?
Yes. I think he goes very similar to where JT went.
I can see that. We'll see if a running back hungry team does something silly, but
we will. There is only one first round running back that should be a first round running back. The real question is, Mike, as we start to think about fantasy football drafts here, Omarion Hampton with the super flex league with tight end premium, our standard 1.5, not a huge premium, but something. Is Hampton a top 6 pick? Because I think Hampton's a top 6 pick.
Tet.
Okay.
Our other running back we're going to talk about.
Superflex. I'll take both quarterbacks. I will take a chance. I will take a chance. Okay. This is my New Year's resolution. I will simply pick the good players. I'm tired of being like, well, let's see if they hit. Like, maybe it'll work out. Maybe it'll they'll put it together. No, screw that. I don't believe in these quarterbacks. I believe in Omarion Hampton. Maybe he's only a double. Maybe he's only a triple. Maybe the quarterback that hits turns into a home run, but they're probably just going to strike out. Give me Omarion Hampton. 103, calling it now on January 2nd. Look at that conviction from Mike over here.
Watch, he's going to go he's going to be a UDFA now. He's going to tear his Achilles during the pre-draft process. And oh man. Omarion, I'm rooting for you. I believe in you. Please don't get hurt. I love you so much. Let's talk about our RB1. You guys already know this from the film study, which I'm sure you've seen. Like, subscribe. Go watch it after this if you haven't. Ashton Jeanty, 5'9". He's probably like 5'8" and a quarter. 215. He's probably like 213, 210. But dude, he's thick. Like 210 for 5'8" is thick with 3 C's from Boise State. 151 missed tackles forced, 1,970 yards after contact. For context, Cam Scattaboo, 1,711 rushing yards. He was number 2 in the NCAA. Omarion Hampton, 1,200 yards after contact. Oh, he must be close. 1,660 total rushing yards. Jeanty was absolutely bonkers. He had 0.38 missed tackles forced after contact. Yes, that's ahead of Gibbs. Yes, it's ahead of Saquon. Yes, it's ahead of Saquon when he was good. Yes, that is ahead of Bijan Robinson. There are some levels of competition concerns. until you watch him against Penn State, until you watch him against Oregon, until you watch him against all of these higher levels of competition, his offensive line could not stop a nosebleed, and he was getting 6 yards.
His offensive line could open some holes. Look, you got to understand level of competition comparatively to Big Ten, what he's been facing here. We're talking taking 20 pounds off the top, of all defensive linemen. We're talking taking probably another 15 pounds off of all linebackers. All right. Or if you're not taking the weight off, then they ain't catching him. So, yes, there is a level of play concerns. Level of competition is a real thing, but he is dang good at football. All right. Now, do you think he is a better prospect than when Jahmyr Gibbs came out? Because I will trade my 101 for Jahmyr Gibbs right now.
If we were in a league, I would do it. I would take Ashton Jeanty over Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay.
The issue that I run into there is landing spot matters. As much as we say bet on talent, like Jahmyr Gibbs is in the perfect place for him to blossom as a young running back. And there's a chance Ashton Jeanty he goes to the Browns and he disappears into the mist and we never see him again. But there's so much to like about Jeanty. I think that he is a better prospect. I'm trying to look up what PFF had to say about him during the Penn State game, but I can't quite find it. That's okay. I would rather. I'd rather
love military kid, right?
Yes.
You should love that.
I do love that. The work ethic is there.
Yep.
The grittiness is there. The athleticism is there. The ability to handle a workload. The best predictor for future workload is current workload, and he is taking it and running with it and showing no signs of slowing down. I think this kid's going to be great for years to come. I think we have another running back that we shall be over the moon about. Running backs make me sad sometimes because we all would draft Breece Hall 101, and then he turns into the RB18 on the season because Aaron Rodgers decided to stink up the offense. So I think risk-averse people should trade that 101 for Jahmyr Gibbs because you already know what he is. You should be excited about him for years to come. If you're risk-seeking, go see what Ashton Jeanty could be. Maybe he's Bijan and goes to a better place. Maybe the level of, play concerns actually trickle in. I'm over the moon about him. I think he's the RB1. I really don't think there's an argument for anybody else in this class. Do you?
No. No. There is, if you go to my tiers, my tier is Jeanty, tier 1, done. Mm-hmm. Hampton, tier 2, done.
Okay.
Then we start getting into these other guys.
Does it go 3 to 7 from there?
It goes 3 to 5.
Okay.
For the next tier.
Yep. Mine, it's Jeanty, Hampton, Henderson, Judkins, Caleb, with Singleton squeaking up there. I see the vision, but I want to draft good football players, and I cannot say that Nick Singleton is a good football player. He's an amazing athlete. He's so much bigger, faster, stronger than most people could ever dream to be. Brother, just hit the goddamn hole. Please. Just pass block. Just pretend to care. If not for you, for me, Nick. I know you're listening. Avid fan of the podcast. I think that's all we have to say about our top 5 2025 NFL prospects for running backs. Evan, do you have anything to say about any of these guys?
Yes. Stop saying that Jeanty is going to be LaDainian Tomlinson. Stop it. He is not LT.
But he could be a little taller Maurice Jones-Drew. Have a good night. Evan, I love you. Catch you on the flippity flip.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the goblins get you.